Hello BookTube, this is Weekly Reads, and my reading week has not gone how I had planned it at all. I've got 3 bills and slim volumes of poetry saved my reading week. Let's get going because this might be ranty. Anyway, so my plan from last week, to recap, was I would be reading Legacy of Violence by Caroline Elkins until I finished it. And I would then probably finish up a nonfiction November with In the Land of a Thousand Gods by Chistian Marek in collaboration with Peter Frei and translated by Steven Rendall. It did not turn out at all. So anyway, starting with Legacy of Violence, A History of the British Empire by Caroline Elkins. This is a history of the British Empire taking a decidedly negative approach. It's critical, it's prosecutorial, it is most certainly damning. And I am largely in the choir when it comes to the British Empire. I have no love for the British Empire. I think it was a very bad thing for most people around the world. Africa did not need the British Empire. India did not need the British Empire. China did not need the British Empire. Nobody needed the British Empire. And so I don't know why I hated what I read of this book before I bailed on it. I think there are 3 reasons why I did not get on with this book, and that's, I think, largely why I bailed. It's about as, would be interesting. So, I've mentioned a few times this year, and I kind of figured this out in October when I was doing some reading for the Kundal Prize. There were 2 works on Chinese history, Perils of Interpreting and The Chinese Question, along with earlier I read and actually attempted a bail redemption that was rejected on The Opium War by Julia Lovell. And all 3 books feature a creeping, that sort of the birth of anti-Chinese racism in Britain that provided justification, the fig leaf, for British aggression towards the Qing Empire that lasted through the mid-19th century and into the 21st century, and a lot of other European countries, as well as the United States and others, piled onto China. This book begins with basically the same thing happening to India, although in this case it happened to India first because the birth of anti-Indian racism that provided the justification for British aggression started in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The book begins with chapter 1 on the 2 impeachments of high-ranking East India Company officials who basically made a mess of their job. And I didn't like it. And then in the introduction, which was fairly bad, she uses deconstructive literary theory, which, yes, history is a narrative and is as such subject to literary theory, but I don't know. I've never quite gotten on with deconstruction. And I also think the book is argued from a left-wing technique, or it's sort of like it's the writing technique that you often see with left-wing historians and writers. And I don't know why, even though I mean, yeah, my politics are weird and stuff, but generally they map onto largely progressive positions. So I don't know why I always have a hard time reading and enjoying works by largely left-wing writers. It's like the techniques just don't work for me. They backfire for me, even though I am, I mean, largely perhaps in the choir. It's just, I don't know. But this book just did not work at all for me, and I'm kind of bummed out that I didn't have. That I ended up having to bail. But I didn't like it, and I lost interest so quickly. Anyway, I also bailed on In the Land of a Thousand Gods, A History of Asia Minor and the Ancient World by, again, Chistian Marek, in collaboration with Peter Frei and translated by Steven Rendall. This is not the book I wanted. This is a survey of ancient Anatolian history. Anatolia is that peninsula that juts out into the Mediterranean and is now mostly modern Turkey. And so it's a survey of Anatolia from the Paleolithic to just before Emperor Constantine rechristened Byzantine Constantinople and made it the capital of the Roman Empire. That's not the book I wanted. I wanted a big history of the Hittites. I have a sweet tooth for the Hittites, and I despair that there is so little in the way of histories of the Hittites in English. And I'd hope that this would kind of state that. And there is a section on the Hittites, and it was rather good, but all it did was make me want a dedicated history of the Hittites, not a survey. And the rest of it, of what I had read, was incredibly dry and dull, and just really disappointed. And to round out the trifecta of bailing on nonfiction in Nonfiction November, I decided, since on Monday, I realized that I would have like 3 days before Thanksgiving, when it would be likely that I wouldn't have any time to read, that I would try to pick a short work of nonfiction. And so I picked Southern Decadence in New Orleans by Howard Phillips Smith and Frank Perez. This is a history of Southern Decadence, a event in late summer in New Orleans that has become associated with gay pride. It originally wasn't. It was more of just a gathering of friends to celebrate the end of summer, or to bemoan the end of summer. That increasingly, as the years went by, became more identified with the LGBTQ content of the event, since it's now a longer thing than just a parade. And I just didn't get on with this at all. I thought the introduction was rather poor, and my interest in reading it just, went out the window. So, in between and after these three bails. So, after I bailed on Legacy of Violence, I decided to flip through my cookbooks. And when I bailed on, which was pretty fun actually, and then when I bailed on In the Land of a Thousand Gods, I read 3 slim volumes of poetry, which I'll get to here in a bit. And then after I bailed on Southern Decadence, I dipped into a cookbook I have on Kindle, which pretty much showed why I don't really like reading stuff on Kindle Unlimited. A number of the pictures of the recipes were missing. towards the end of the book. But anyway, and then on Tuesday I did a like my cookbook clear out from my wish list, which I've already made a video about. So, what saved my reading week? Slim volumes of poetry. I've picked up a number of slim volumes of poetry this month. Some from Princeton University Press, some from the University of Chicago Press, and some that I picked up used from Alibris. And I'll talk more about this in my massive birthday book haul of madness next week. So the first, the three I read on Sunday were I Entered Without Words by Jody Gliding. This is a weird collection. Basically, the idea is that there are a jumble of words in a largely circular look. Although not quite all circular, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So, anyway. So, I mean, it's a random jumble of words, with some words being bolded. And the idea from the author's note, or the poet's note, is to use those bolded words to sort of guide you into the poem. And from there, the reader would then construct the poem as they read, giving the poem a three-dimensional quality. I don't think it quite worked, but this was the least successful of the poems that I read. The next poem, and also the second of the two, so these two poems are the 2022 releases from the Princeton Poets series from Princeton University Press. So the second one is Please Make Me Pretty, I Don't Want to Die by Tawanda Mulalu. This is a really good collection. There were some poems that didn't quite work for me, but there were quite a few that did, and I quite enjoyed it. It's certainly a lot better than I Entered Without Words. The best collection of the three is the one that I picked up used, and that is Semiautomatic by Evie Shockley. Evie Shockley has become one of my favorite poets. I previously read her The New Black and was blown away by it. And this is her most recent collection, and I absolutely loved it. It is phenomenal. I love practically every poem in this collection. It is just so good. Then on Wednesday, I read two of the three poetry collections that I picked up from University of Chicago Press. The third is an anthology, and I'll talk about that on next Wednesday when I do my book haul. So first up is Lucky Wreck by Ada Limon. This is a reprint of her first collection with Autumn House. I thought the collection started off slow, but it really started to pick up steam with the long poem Spider's Web, which is just absolutely amazing. And from there, I really enjoyed the rest of the collection. But giving Semiautomatic a run for its money as my favorite poem set that I read this week, or collection, is Tanto by Marina Carreira. This collection is amazing. I loved practically every poem. There's humor, there's rage, there's eroticism, there's just everything, and it was amazing. I was blown away by this collection. I look forward to reading more of Carreira's work in the future, but this was just a phenomenal collection of poems. So that wraps up my largely disappointing reading week. So I didn't read anything on Thursday, like I thought I wouldn't. I did go over to my brother's for Thanksgiving, and it was uh, pretty good. There were some problems before, but it all worked out. Uh, my brother made too much food like he always does, but it was good. And we had lots of leftovers, so that was great. We saw the kids, my nieces and nephews, and they were in fine form, so it was fun. Anyway, so what I will be reading today and the rest of the reading week. Um, so I'm hoping to get to two more works of nonfiction in November, and then probably lay off the nonfiction for a bit. So I don't know if I do decide to do Bill Redemption December, if I'm going to stick with the nonfiction Bill Redemptions that I'll be doing, because yeah, I mean the last few it's been a bit tough. But anyway, so first up, I'm going to have a go at Our First Civil War, Patriots and Loyalists in the American Revolution by H.W. Brands. This is a history of the American Revolution, looking at the conflict through the lens of um, the Patriots, the American colonists who were in favor of independence from Britain, and the Loyalists who were not in favor of independence. I've been looking forward to getting to this for a while, and I will have a go at it this weekend. Well, today and then the weekend. And I'm also hoping to get to Miracles of Our Own Making, A History of Paganism by Liz Williams. This is a history of at least neo-paganism, but also perhaps a history of traditional polytheistic European and Near Eastern religions. So we'll see what I make of it. Then starting December 1st, I plan to spend Thursday and Friday with some manga, because I really need some manga right now. This week's been a bit rough reading wise. I mean, the poetry did save it, but I mean, 3 bells on history. Anyway, so I'll be getting to some volumes of The Seven Deadly Sins by Nakaba Suzuki. The Seven Deadly Sins is a series that I've grown quite attached to. It's a story of a young princess named Elizabeth, whose father, the king, has been overthrown by an order of knights called the Holy Knights, and they have become rather tyrannical in after their usurpation. In order to restore her father to his throne and to defeat the Holy Knights, Princess Elizabeth goes in search of the Seven Deadly Sins, an order of knighthood that were accused a few years previously of trying to overthrow the kingdom. Elizabeth finds the former leader, Melodius, and he agrees to reform the Seven Deadly Sins. So they travel together, seeking out the other members. Up to the point where I last read, they've gathered most of the 7. They've got 2 to go. And it's a really good series. I quite enjoy it, and I'm loving where I'm at. I'm looking forward to getting back to the series. And I'm also going to give a Bell Redemption to Tokyo Revengers by Ken Wakui. This is a series about a man who develops the ability to travel back in time and then travel back again. And he uses this ability to try to change the fates of his friends he made when he was a juvenile delinquent. And the series goes on from there. I did bail on it when I read the series in mid-August. I mean, I like the artwork, but the story didn't quite do it for me at the time. But I'm hoping Bill Redemption will change that. We shall see. And then if there are any bells or anything, I'll kind of readjust as needed. Because I guess by this point I really need to sort of have my eye on that. Sorry if this is a bit, seems a bit rushed, but I'm kind of feeling a bit under the weather right now. I think I'm probably getting some allergies. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, go log in my latest book, because I got a book in that I've been wanting for a while. Came in today, which I'll talk about when I do my book haul on Wednesday. So before I sign off, next week I will do some. So Monday will be an original tag. I've come up with an original tag that I'm quite looking forward to doing. On Tuesday, I'll be doing some tag videos and possibly some more top 10s. Shanti Stanfest came out with another top 10 musical thing, and I kind of want to get on it. And then on Wednesday will be my November book haul of Madness, because November is my birthday month and I went nuts. And there's still the possibility that I'll get more books in, because I have 2 outstanding orders. The other part of an Libris order that a Semiautomatic came in, and also one from Book Depository. So I'll see how they come in and whether they'll be part of this month's book haul or held over to December. And then Thursday and Friday will probably be like a tag video and, of course, weekly reads. So anyway, BookTube, I'm going to sign off for now. So thank you. Have a great rest of your afternoon and evening and weekend. And I will see you on Monday. So until then, thank you and stay safe.